Comes to Talk. Thanks for joining. Okay, I want to talk about these Trump tariffs, and these judges and why Trump wants tariffs, why tariffs are good, why you should support them, and everything. We're going to go through all this, but I want to first start with these judges. These left-wing lunatics that, as far as we know, they might be dressed under those black robes, but who knows what they really have on under those black robes. And the liberal justices, or federal judges, I should say, and this goes for liberal Supreme Court justices too, federal judges that are liberal think that they are little dictators. They think they're little presidents, and they think that they dictate United States financial policy. They think they dictate United States foreign policy. These unelected judges in their robes think that they are the supervisor of the President of the United States, and nothing could be further from the truth. Can you remember with any past presidents, judges stepping in every 6 seconds to come out with some ruling telling a president they can't do anything? Have you ever seen anything like that before? I don't remember anything like that happening. Welcome to the program. My name is Brian. This is where MAGA comes to talk. Subscribe if you are new. No, I don't ever remember this happening with other presidents, but it's happening with Trump. And what's going on with the judges, I'll talk about why tariffs are good and why you want them and Trump wants them. And if you don't think you want tariffs, you do, and all of that. But I want to first talk about these radical lunatic judges. Judges on the federal bench, whether it's a regular federal judge, an appellate judge, or a Supreme Court justice of the United States, they're not there to make law. They're not a legislative branch. We have the House and the Senate that are the legislative branch. But these judges, they call them activist judges. I call them revolutionary judges because what they're doing is they're leading a revolution to bring about the downfall of the United States of America. And they're doing that each and every time they come out with some order stopping Trump from Alligator Alcatraz, a tariff deal, deporting illegal invaders from our country. What you have a bunch of judges, mostly appointed by Obama, some from Clinton, some from Biden. I don't know if there are any Jimmy Carter judges left on the bench. It wouldn't surprise me. They hate Trump, and they're trying to F him over and stop him at every turn. They don't have the authority to do it. So this will go to the Supreme Court and be upheld. But the thing about tariffs, America's most powerful weapon is not our nuclear weapons, it's not our Army, it's not our Marines, Air Force, Space Force, none of that. Those are all powerful things, but America's greatest power is America's economic power. The United States, even with these Democrats wrecking our economy for decades, the United States is the largest economy in the world. Now, a bunch of dummies in here will say China is. No, China has... They may be the fastest growing, but they got nothing. So they have doubled nothing now. They're on the verge of collapse. The United States is the largest economy in the world. Isn't that amazing? Yeah, it is, with all the Democrat wreckage of it. And we're also the largest consumer nation in the world. And America's economic power is more powerful than anything else. In fact, America's economic power is one of the big factors that led to our victory in the Second World War against the socialists, or as they're often referred to as the Nazis, Nationalist Socialist Workers' Party is the Nazi Party. And, of course, all the servicemen and women, they won the war, and Russia helped us on the Eastern Front. But America's economic power, these other countries just couldn't keep up with it. They're too tiny, right? With our factories, our workforce, our innovation, our ability to build tanks, planes, everything that you needed to make war and win war. So the United States, our economic power is our strongest weapon. The American people, we are taxed to freaking death. I've talked about this a lot. We are taxed to death. You know, you buy. I bought this coffee. I had to pay the government to buy this freaking coffee. Are you out of your mind? It's insanity, right? Yeah. I mean, why? I bought this microphone. I had to pay the government to buy this microphone. What the hell? You know, on top of the income taxes that we have to pay, the taxes on everything. Are you watching me on a television? You watching me on a cell phone? You watching me on the internet? Go look at the bill for your internet, your cell phone, or your cable, and look at all the taxes, state, local, federal, that are on that. I mean, we are so overtaxed, and it forces people to work so much because we're so over freaking taxed. And these countries have been you guys know this. Trump's been talking about it. These countries have been ripping us the freak off with the tariffs, right? We have like a 2% tariff on their goods in our country, and they have like an 80% tariff or even higher of our goods into their country. What the hell? So what we have are reciprocal tariffs now. Whatever their tariff is on us is what we have on them. There's exceptions to the rule and all this stuff and all kinds of things, but that's not important. But we have the reciprocal tariffs now. And these countries, they need us. And the reason they need us is because we're the largest economy in the world and the largest consumer nation in the world. All these countries around the world need us because we buy all their shit. And without us buying it, they're out of business, right? So President Trump wants to do what's best for the United States and the American people, and he thinks we're taxed too much. We're being worked to death. We're a bunch of freaking slaves in the matrix of the federal tax machine because we're taxed on everything. My goodness. You pay tolls on your toll roads? Another freaking tax. I mean, it's stupid. So, yeah, exactly. So President Trump, he's cutting government spending down. They've paid off about a quarter of the national debt already with the tariffs. He's going to eliminate the debt of the nation, and then he wants to eliminate taxes, federal taxes, and which would be a great relief to us all, and fund the entire country on the import taxes, tariffs. Now, the reason Democrats, liberals always argue against tariffs and not import taxes because they're the same thing, right? They can't utter that they're against a tax because they love taxes, the liberals. But tariffs and import taxes are the exact same thing, different words for the same thing. And that's what's going on here. He wants to fund the entire country just like it was before World War I on tariffs, and it is incredibly possible. Now, people say, well, the country's bigger, there's more things to pay for. Well, when you get rid of the tens of millions of illegal invaders that are sucking off of our legal system, our SNAP system, our EBT system, our Section 8 system, our everything, that goes a long way, and you get the reciprocal tariffs going on. You know, when the country was run on tariffs, we weren't the economic power we are today, right? And so we have tremendous economic power. So why the hell are any of you against tariffs? The prices have not gone up, by the way, on goods being sold in this country from them. Why would anyone be against the tariffs? Well, because you're a federal judge in a robe, and you hate Trump, and you're some liberal activist, and you just want to screw him over. That's it. That's it. And you have some dreams of being on the Supreme Court, and if you screw Trump over, maybe some Democrat judge in the future will put you on the Supreme Court. Right? Or give you a higher federal judgeship, because there are, federal judges do get a point. Like President Trump's sister was a federal judge, and then she got, she was put on the federal bench by Reagan, and then Clinton put her on a higher court. An appellate court, if I remember correctly. So, all kinds of crap going on, So the tariffs are a good thing. Now, The people that are not against taxes that you see in the chat room are just a bunch of losers that don't pay taxes. They live with mommy and daddy or bums. But I'm very well aware of every penny of mine that goes to taxes, and I wish I wasn't aware. I'm like that guy in the Matrix that wanted to go back in the Matrix. Who really wants to know how much we're paying on all this crap, and what are we paying for? What are we paying for? We're paying for a bunch of crap we shouldn't be paying for. So that's that. Now, if you're new to my channel, this is where MAGA comes to talk. Make sure you subscribe if you are new. Like, I had to buy a new microphone. The microphone that's inside of here, it's working, but it's not holding a charge like it should. So I ordered a new microphone yesterday. I got to pay the government to buy my new microphone? What the heck? I need a microphone for my profession. Why do I got to pay the guy? They're like a mafia. They're a mob. They're shaking you down. These glasses, I buy them for $1 a pair on Amazon. These are reading glasses, right? Every time I buy these damn glasses, because I leave them all over town and lose them, I got to pay the government to buy them. On top of the fact that they're taxing me on every dollar I make it's crazy. That as much of a traitor Ron DeSantis is, he said yesterday or the day before yesterday that we're going to vote here in Florida to end property taxes. I got to pay property taxes on my house. I bought my house 21 years ago. 21 years ago I bought my house. I've lived in the same house for 21 years. And I got to pay this liberal county taxes on that every year so they can have another freaking dog park. I got 2 public libraries that are 2 miles from each other. I'm not exaggerating. 2 public libraries, 2 miles from each other, maybe a little less. There's freaking 5 dog parks in my neighborhood that the county has. What the hell? Give me a break. They have too much money to spend on crap. Right? We can fund everything with the tariffs. We can fund everything with the tariffs. And President Trump knows this. He is, President Trump is a leading economist. These Democrats, they bring in economists. They bring in a bunch of dumbasses. They go to college, major in economics. They go to graduate school. They get a master's. They get a PhD. They teach economics, and then they're an economic advisor to a president. They've never been out of school. They have arrested development. They still think like children because they've never left school. They were teachers. Now they're advising on the economy. They don't know jack. President Trump has been out there in the real world. He has the business degree, and he made himself a billionaire. He is a leading economist, a top economist. And he understands things about money that you and I would not be able to comprehend if even he explained them to us, okay? He is, like the most brilliant scientist there is. That's what Donald Trump is when it comes to the science of the economy, economics. And that's amazing what he's done. It's absolutely amazing. Mm-hmm. So when I see these judges stopping all the tariffs are unconstitutional, bull crap. And, you got this Obama judge the other day, got to close down Alligator Alcatraz, the environment. There's no environment. This is a facility that was already built, right? They didn't go out in the middle of the Everglades, which is a swamp of crap and muck and nothingness, wasted space, the Everglades. Come on the edge. I'm in Florida. I know the Everglades, the parts of Florida you go to, do you go to the Everglades, the swamp of nothingness? No. The facility was already there. Oh, no, you can't have it. The environmental impact. Psh. I tell you. Exactly. Exactly. Complete BS. If you're new, make sure you subscribe to my channel. This is where MAGA comes to talk. Hopefully, when I get home, Amazon will have delivered my new microphone. It works. It's under this windscreen. The old mic. It just doesn't hold a charge as long as it's supposed to. It's lasted me, I don't know, 2 years or so. but it should last longer for what I paid for it. Oh, look at this. A new MAGA person. FTD. Forever Trump Donald. That's awesome. Forever Trump Donald. I love that. Isn't that great? Exactly. Exactly. Oh, man. Yep, Forever Donald Trump. FDT, Forever Donald Trump. Absolutely. Yep. If you did not catch my podcast yesterday afternoon, make sure when you're done watching this stream, you go and watch it. It's got Joy Reid in the thumbnail. Check it out. Very good podcast. Took some calls. Covered a lot of stuff. None of which I'm going to cover here. So it'll be all new stuff to you. So make sure you go and check that out and share on your socials, man. Okay? Oh, my goodness. Yeah, I know. You see what's trending on Twitter? You know, Trump hasn't had a press conference like in 2 days, and the liberals are freaking out with all these stupid hashtags. You know, they haven't gotten their Donald Trump fix. I thought they said we were in the cult. Donald Trump doesn't have a press conference for 2 days, and liberal X is having meltdowns with inappropriate hashtags. They miss him. They miss it because you know what? They love Donald John Trump too. Forever Donald Trump. FDT. Forever Donald Trump. That's right. I love that. That's a new one, right? The first thing we had was deplorables, and we got a lot of things. The Great MAGA King, deplorables. What are some of the other ones? FDT. Forever Donald Trump. That's awesome. Yeah. Forever Donald Trump. There you go. I love it. That's right. I love it. All these new MAGA people coming up with that new phrase, FDT. There you go, Forever Donald Trump again. Awesome. No, the tariffs, you know, there's nothing more powerful than our economic power. And the reason I say it's more powerful than our nuclear weapons, because you can never use the nuclear weapons. And if you use them, you've got a wasteland. You know, with our economic power that President Trump is using through the tariffs, the import taxes, these countries bend the knee like that, just like that. Europe caved, gave him everything he asked for. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Forever Donald Trump, FDT, awesome. Look at all this MAGA we got in here. See, a lot of people that have been watching me, they didn't like Donald Trump in the past, but they've been watching my channel here on YouTube, and now they're big Donald Trump fans. They want him around forever. So do I. Trump 2028 and beyond. MAGAT. Make America Great Again Today. I like that one too. Make America Great Again Today. I like that. That's awesome. MAGAT. Make America Great Again Today. Forever King Donald Trump, another one. That's so good. That's great. These people, I tell you, these people, they're coming up with these great new MAGA phrases that I've never considered before. I like that. Make America Great Again Today. That's right. Isn't that awesome? Mm-hmm. Man. Yeah, that's great. That's great. Oh, man. All this winning. The only thing I would ever disagree with President Trump on is this one simple thing. I never get sick of winning. And you want to enjoy and savor every minute of it. All of this winning that we're doing. And the tariffs are as good as it gets. It's as good as it gets. You know? The other countries are paying these taxes. The prices have not been passed on to the American consumer. Prices are coming down. That's right. Labor Day weekend, CNN even reporting the lowest Labor Day weekend gas prices nationwide in 5 years, since 2020. And, of course, President Trump was president then. So, you know, we've got 5-year-old prices on gas on Labor Day weekend, which is just beautiful and amazing and exciting. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. It's the best. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. If you love Donald Trump, press 1. North Korea level propaganda, CNN and MSNBC with their anti-Trumpism, no doubt about that. Help you in Canada? We tried. I mean, you had that one. What's the name of the conservative in Canada? I just forgot his name. Where he was doing that interview, eating the apple. I thought he was going to be great, and he turned out to be a creep. Yeah. Yeah. Look at all that Trump love. Look at that. No, there's no other choices. Just Trump love. If you love Trump, press 1. No other choices. Yeah, Poliver, whatever the hell his name is. I love that interview when he was eating the apple. It was a classic. And then he turned out to be a creep. Mm-hmm. But I think America's done enough for Canada. We're funding your whole country up there. Pretty much. Yeah. If you're new, make sure you subscribe to the channel. I don't understand. Why would anyone be against the tariffs that Trump has put in place? The reciprocal tariffs. Explain to me why Canada can have a tax of an import tax of over 200% on an item, while we have like a 3% tax on them. How's that right? Why should we not have the same tax on them that they have on us? Right? Why should we have to be burdened with these insanely inappropriate tariffs that they put on us that President Trump has ended? That makes no sense to me. Yeah. It is, yeah, exactly. Fair trade. Fair trade. It's been very unfair. Canada isn't a primary trade partner? Yeah, they are. They border us. We've got that large border. When I was in high school in the 80s, I don't know if this is still true, but it probably still is. They said that the border between the United States and Canada was the longest unfortified border in the world. We've always been such great friends with Canada. Trump comes into his second term, and we find out Canada has been ripping us off forever. I got no beef with Canada, but, enough of that. And it's been that way. If it was just Canada, it wouldn't be so bad. But it's that way with every country in the world, or at least it was before Trump came in. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. There's no argument against what Trump's doing with the tariffs. No argument whatsoever. Mm-mm. Nope. It's the only time I've heard Democrats argue against a tax, I must tell you. That's how bad the Trump derangement syndrome is so deep with the left. They argue against a tax. They're arguing in favor of crime, like in D.C. Yeah, then give me an argument in a couple of words. You say there's plenty of arguments? There's an argument that Canada can have a 250% tax on us and we have like a 2% tax on them. I'd like to hear the argument for that. Maybe if you're Canadian, I'm talking about from an American perspective, okay? I don't blame Canada. It's like the president says, it's our corrupt leaders that allowed that to happen. That's who you got to blame. Mm-hmm. Who cares? No, the tourism here in Florida, Canadians come down here. They're in Florida like they always were. They're not. Canadians don't come to America during the summer. They come in the winter. This is we call them snowbirds when the Canadians and the Yankees come to Florida. This, like Mar-a-Lago's closed right now. President Trump, he goes to Bedminster because the Northerners do not come south during the winter. It's hot. They don't like the heat and the humidity. They come during the winter months. So there aren't as many Canadians here now as during the winter, but don't worry, the Canadians will be back. Where else are they going to go? Cuba? The workers' paradise? Yeah. Exactly. Make sure you subscribe, guys, if you're new to my channel. This Starbucks, they've started opening up at 5 a.m. for about 3 weeks now. And, of course, I was the first customer, 5:01. There has not been another customer. The neighborhood does not know that they open at 5 yet. I got to start letting people know so that they don't stop opening up at 5, because them opening up at 5 is what's enabled me to go on the air earlier in the morning. I think they really should be open 24 hours a day, to tell you the truth. Welcome to our new subscribers. Yes, yes, yes. The liberal arguments against, it's like everything else. The liberals, their position on everything is whatever Trump says, take the opposite, right? They've come out in favor of criminals' constitutional rights to do crime. Crime's down over 80%. You even have Bowser, the mayor of D.C., praising Trump and Pam Bondi for bringing crime down in D.C., but describe liberal, that's easy. Asshole. How about that? There's other definitions. Dumb ass. There you go. That's another one. Yes. No, those are both dictionary definitions. Yes. There's other definitions, but those are at the top of the list, right? Would you guys agree? Exactly. No, the National Guard are just there. The National Guard in D.C. aren't making arrest. They're not making arrest. It's just a presence. And their presence has helped. The arrests are primarily being made by the local Metropolitan D.C. police, and some by the federal agents, but mostly by the local police. The feds and the National Guard, the feds are there for backup, and the National Guard are just there for the presence. Mm-hmm. Yep. Make sure you subscribe, guys, if you're new to my channel. And those of you that are new, I'm a radio host and podcaster, and I live stream. I'm on the air Monday through Fridays in Morning Drive, and I live stream here on YouTube. When I'm in the studio, I take live calls. Now I'm just in front of Starbucks with my microphone. But when I'm in the studio, whichever studio I'm in, I'm taking live calls. Those of you that are watching on YouTube can call me on the air, whether you agree or disagree, and we can talk. Well, this is the reality of the situation, okay? Around the country, people that live in these high-crime blue cities all want done to their city what just happened to D.C. Can you imagine? Here it's 5:39 a.m. right now. I've been here since just after 5 a.m. If I were on the south side of Chicago right now, okay, now it's 4:39 a.m., but it's just 5:39, 4:39 a.m. Could I stand in front of a coffee shop at 5:39 a.m. in Chicago with my Trump 2028 MAGA hat on and a white guy sitting out here with a microphone? I mean, I'd get a viral video because I'd get robbed right here on YouTube. They'd run off with my phone. You guys could join the robber until they shut down the stream. But would I be able to do that? Would it be safe? Would I be able to do what I'm doing now on the streets of Baltimore? It's 5:40 a.m. in Baltimore right now. Could I stand out in front of a coffee shop with an expensive microphone and a camera and everything else, a white guy and a MAGA hat like this, and talk freely in Baltimore? Hell no. I'd get robbed. And if I then go back to this. Now, if I were in Chicago doing this stream right now, you're right, I'd get mugged, beaten, maybe killed. What would people say? What would people say if I was just like I am now, right? My Trump 2028 hat, it's 5:40 a.m. I'm on the south side of Chicago. I got my Starbucks. I'm outside, got my expensive microphone, my camera, my phone, got my wallet and everything. I'm out here by myself in the dark at 5:40. I'm in Chicago, white guy. I get robbed, maybe beaten, maybe killed. What would people say, even in this chat? They say, what a dumbass. What was he doing out there? What was he thinking? He should have known he was going to get rotted. He should have known he was going to get killed. That's what you'd be saying, right? Exactly. Is that how people have to live? You know, why do I get to live in a safe community where I could be out like this and talking and don't have to worry and I'm safe? But people that live in the inner city that are African American in Washington, D.C. or Baltimore or Chicago or some other city, the Democrats think they can't do what I'm doing, that they have to live in fear and hide out and live in danger? The solution is Trump. What he did in Washington, D.C., take it to Chicago, take it to Baltimore, take it to Minneapolis. Exactly. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And if you notice something, what do you hear in the background here? Well, this is a noise-canceling mic, but the sprinklers were on. You may hear some cars go by. You know, before this crackdown on the crime in D.C., anytime I heard a reporter at the White House, even the president speaking in the Rose Garden, I'd always hear sirens in the background. Wouldn't you? Yeah, you hear some crickets. I'd always hear sirens in the background at the White House. You don't hear that anymore. Why were you hearing sirens? Because the Democrats were allowing crime to go down all the time. That's why. Exactly. So why should people that live in these blue cities have to live in fear, and someone like me can just walk around day or night? I could be, at this hour of the morning by myself. There's nobody out here. There's nobody out. There's nobody here. Look, I'll show you guys. Look, there's nobody here. I'm all by myself. I'm all by myself. Could I do this in Baltimore at this hour? Could I do this in Chicago at this hour? Could I be out on the streets of L.A. at this hour and do this? No. So, yeah, exactly. Everyone in America, and this is what Trump believes, everyone in America should be able to live in safety like I'm doing right now, where I'm at. Mm-hmm. Now, if you're new to my channel, make sure that you subscribe, all right? Make sure you subscribe. Click that notification bell, too, if you don't mind. That helps a lot. It's about everyone in the United States should be able to live without fear, right? That's one of Norman Rockwell's 5 freedoms, or 4 freedoms. What were the 4 freedoms of Norman Rockwell? Freedom from fear, freedom from hunger. What were the other 2? Or is it 4 or 5 freedoms? It's early. I'm not done with my coffee yet. You guys know that? Freedom from fear, freedom from hunger. What were the other fears of Norman Rockwell? Does anyone remember? I'd Google it, but I'm streaming on my phone, so I can't Google. Everyone in America should be able to do what I'm doing right now. Be out in the dark, alone, on a street without fear. And that's what President Trump is saying. Mm-hmm. But not the Democrats. Oh, no. If you're in these inner cities and you're black, you have to live in fear. That's what the Democrats are saying. Criminals have rights to do crime. That's what they're saying. They're openly saying that. That's crazy. That's completely insane. How could you argue against what he's doing? People have been talking about the crime problem all my life, and no one's done anything about it. There is due process. You get arrested, they go through the system. That is due process. You wouldn't be able to do this in North Korea. Speak your mind. And are there people in the chat right now that live in a city where you couldn't be out at this hour of the morning like this with a Trump hat on, mind you? And this one here, you can see this a mile away, right? Yeah. still out here all alone with freedom from fear. No fear. Philly, yeah, could I do this in Philadelphia? Could I do this in Philadelphia at this hour of the morning? Could I do this? Be out here alone on the streets of Philly with a big-ass Trump hat on. I mean, this is like a billboard hat with an expensive mic, an expensive phone, and everything else, talking like, no, I'd get whacked. The sprinklers just came on. I'm not sure if you can hear them. No, there are some of us who live in nice areas where we don't have to worry, but there's a lot of people that don't. You know? I'm blessed. I live in a great place. Everyone should live like this. Yep, make sure you subscribe, guys. Exactly. Yes, good morning to everyone. Welcome. If you're new, welcome to my channel. You will love this channel. I promise you, you'll enjoy my content. You'll never find someone more pro-Donald Trump than me. Nope. So why do conservative states and cities have higher rates of crime, of violent crime? Well, they don't. They don't. What major city is run by conservative MAGA Republicans? I keep hearing liberals say, oh, the conservative cities. Which major city, big-ass city, is run by MAGA Republicans? You know, like here in Florida, this is a red state. This is MAGA country, Florida, right? But we still have Democrats here, and some of the biggest cities in Florida are run by Democrats. And look at Jacksonville, Florida. I made a YouTube video about this. I showed it to you guys on my other channel. I almost got killed on this a little over a year ago walking the streets of Jacksonville, Florida, because I've forgotten. I'm not here in South Florida where I live. I'm in Jacksonville. They got like the highest murder and crime rate in Florida in Jacksonville. It's a Democrat-run city, but it's here in MAGA, Florida. So what? You know, they say, oh, look, Republican states. No. What major metropolitan city with all this high crime you're talking about is run by MAGA Republicans that all these Democrats keep citing? I'd like to know. Jacksonville is dangerous, man. Dangerous. And everyone told me what I said. They say, well, why are you walking the streets, idiot? Exactly. I keep hearing people say this on the left. Have you all subscribed and liked the video? Make sure you do. Subscribe, like the video. Share on all of your socials if you don't mind. Yeah, I mean, you know, there's, you know, Pennsylvania went Trump, but Philly's not. Right. It's already humid this morning in South Florida. It really is. I'm sweating. And it's 5:49 a.m. Holy smokes. It's supposed to rain today. It's hurricane season, so it rains every day. I promise you, if you go to a Republican state, like in Louisiana, okay, you say Louisiana's a red state, murder capital. The areas where they have the murders are run by Democrats. The cities and towns where they have the murders are run by Democrats, like New Orleans. Okay? We're talking about cities. No, it's hot and humid. Hot coffee doesn't help, but I am sweating. Jacksonville's a Democrat town. I love these trolls. They cite your source. They think that I'm writing a term paper. It's called Living Life, man. It's called Living Life. When you live life and you're well read and informed like I am, you know these things. You don't have to walk around and cite your sources and footnotes when you're talking. It's not high school, college term paper time here. Well, what will happen is, in these cities where Trump rids them of crime, you're going to find that they start turning more and more MAGA. That's what's going to happen. That's exactly what will happen. Right? Could you imagine? You know, I don't expect that we'll turn Chicago MAGA, but we'll turn enough people that Illinois could go red. Yeah, we may do that in D.C. Then all of a sudden, you know, if they do some polls and find out that the residents of D.C. are turning red, you won't hear any of this D.C. statehood talk from the Democrats anymore. White privilege, what the hell's that? No, the Republicans aren't gerrymandering. What the Republicans are doing, like they just did in Texas, they're correcting Democrat gerrymandering. It's being corrected. The districts they're drawing up are the proper districts. Like what Newsom's talking about doing in California, that's gerrymandering. We're correcting it. And that is a fact, yes. Yep. Liberals just don't get it. Most of the liberals, they're just, you know, most liberals, you know, that you see, like the trolls in the chat, they're either young and dumb and don't know what the hell's going on. They're losers, and instead of taking personal responsibility for their loser status, they lean to the left. They're a freak or an outcast of some kind. They feel embraced by the left. You know, people like that, bigots, racists. You know, the Joy Reid types. Yep. There's a new poll out. I'm going to go over this poll on my next podcast. I may podcast today, but there's a new podcast showing Governor Cuomo beating Zohan Mamdani for the mayor's race in New York. Pretty exciting. I'm looking forward to that. Oh, taking issue with freaks. Obviously, I touched a nerve. Excuse me. Oh, people are finally coming into Starbucks. People don't know that Starbucks is opening up at 5. They told me I'm the only person that comes in at 5 a.m. Other customers, they think they open like at 5:30 or 6. Oh, there's all kinds of freaks in this world today. They're watching me on one screen, and then on another device, they're watching, Twitch. Do any of you know who Neon is here on YouTube? Neon? He's the average type of liberal young man today. Oh, man, I am definitely sweating. It's a hot, humid day. Holy smokes. Yeah, my wife and I were going to watch, it's the first Florida, I think it's today the first day of college football. I think it's the first day of college football. And, of course, we're in Florida, and my wife went to Florida State, so we're going to watch FSU. I've not watched an FSU game in a long time, so we're going to watch FSU. Are they playing Alabama today? Alabama is reading today. I'm not up to date on any of the players or anything, so I haven't watched FSU football in years. But we're going to get my wife and I. We're going to get back into it this year. But everything I read this morning said Florida State is favored to lose. Well, oh well. Trump derangement syndrome, yeah. Trump derangement syndrome, no doubt, people. No freaking doubt. This people next to me, they're the bagel delivery drivers for the deli. This truck pulls up every morning and delivers all the bagels. Welcome. Have you all subscribed? Make sure you do. And my podcast that I did yesterday afternoon, make sure you watch that. It has Joy Reid in the thumbnail. I covered some really good stuff that you will not want to miss on that podcast episode, I promise you. It's the video right before this one on the channel. Joy Reid is in the thumbnail. I think it says Joy Reid Twisted Confession. But I cover a lot of things you won't want to miss. None of which I've talked about here, so it'll be all new stuff for you. It is definitely hot. Oh my goodness. I was going to go do some things this morning when the sun comes up, but if this heat continues, I don't think I'm going to want to leave my air-conditioned home. No. Yeah, they do. I was surprised to learn that the delis don't make the bagels. I thought a lot of them made the bagels. I didn't realize basically all the delis get the bagels from the same place, and so it doesn't matter where you go. They all have the same bagels from the same box truck that drives up. So what's the difference between the bagel places? Exactly. I didn't realize that. But I guess it's always been. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Make sure you subscribe. If you're just joining the stream, rewind to the beginning because we covered all the greatness that President Trump is working on right now. And there's a lot of great things going on. All right, guys, I'm going to take off. I'll see you later. Subscribe if you're new. My name's Brian. This is where MAGA comes to talk. Take care.